Do you ever feel a chill when you're home alone at night? That feeling like you're not quite by yourself. For Kevin, a man who cherished the quiet of his secluded home, that feeling became a terrifying reality. This is the story of the Midnight Knock, a tale that will make you think twice before answering your door after dark, and perhaps even before looking in a mirror. Kevin lived in a small wooden house at the very edge of town. He loved the silence, the peace, the distance from everyone. But one stormy night, that silence was shattered. The rain was drumming a steady rhythm against his windows when he heard it. 3 slow, deliberate knocks on his front door. The clock read 11:58 p.m. Who could possibly be out in this weather at this hour? He tried to ignore it, telling himself it was just the wind playing tricks on him. But then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. Louder this time, more insistent. "Who's there?" he called out, his voice betraying a slight tremor. The only reply was the howling wind and the distant rumble of thunder. He was about to dismiss it when his phone buzzed. It was a text from his neighbor, Grace, who lived almost a kilometer down the road. Her message sent a wave of ice through his veins. It read, "Don't open the door. I see someone outside your house." Kevin's heart hammered against his ribs. How could she possibly see his porch from that far away in this storm? He crept to the window, his hands shaking as he peeled back the curtain just a tiny bit. He scanned the porch, the yard, ... Nothing. It was completely empty. He quickly typed back to Grace, "There's no one here." Her reply came instantly. They were standing there a minute ago, in a raincoat, didn't move. A profound sense of dread washed over him. He switched off the lights, plunging the room into darkness, save for the pale glow of his phone screen. And then another knock. Slower this time. Heavier. Each thump felt like it was hammering directly on his soul. He backed away from the door, his mind racing. "I'm calling the police," he whispered to himself, but before his fingers could even dial, a new sound stopped him cold. Footsteps. And they weren't coming from the porch. They were coming from the back of the house, from inside. He grabbed his flashlight, its beam cutting a shaky path down the dark hallway. The kitchen door, which he knew he had locked, was now wide open, swinging gently in a non-existent breeze. His phone buzzed again, a stark contrast to the terrifying silence. It was Grace. "Police are on their way. Stay where you are." He typed back with trembling fingers, "Someone's inside." Grace's next message made his blood run cold. It made no sense. "Kevin, I just saw you through the window. You're standing on your porch." But he wasn't. He was inside, frozen in the hallway, clutching his flashlight. He spun around, pointing the beam towards the glass of the front door. His own reflection stared back at him. But it wasn't his reflection. Not really, because this version of him was smiling, a wide, unnatural grin. The flashlight flickered and died. When the police finally arrived, the house was silent. They found the front door unlocked. Muddy footprints led from inside the house out onto the porch and then vanished. Kevin was gone. He was never seen again. Grace couldn't shake the events of that night. The police report was frustratingly vague, concluding with no signs of forced entry. But she knew something was wrong. She had seen that figure in the raincoat. She had seen the police carry a strange evidence bag from Kevin's house. Sleep was impossible. She kept finding herself at her window, binoculars pressed to her eyes, staring at Kevin's empty home, a dark silhouette against the pre-dawn sky. She needed answers. Driven by a mix of fear and loyalty, she decided to go there herself. The path was a muddy mess, and her flashlight beam seemed weak against the oppressive darkness. She reached the house and hesitated. The porch light was off. The whole place felt wrong. Gathering her courage, she raised her hand and knocked. Knock, knock, knock. The sound was absorbed by the silence. The door, which the police had secured, creaked open under the light pressure of her hand. Kevin. She whispered into the darkness. Inside, the scene was surreal. It was as if Kevin had just stepped out for a moment. A half-full cup of tea sat on the table next to a book left open mid-sentence, and there they were again, the muddy footprints. They led from the hallway directly to a large ornate mirror hanging on the wall. As she got closer, she saw the mirror was cracked, a spiderweb of fractures originating from the center, as if someone had tried to punch their way through it. She leaned in, her breath fogging the glass. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. With a jolt, she pulled it out. It was a message. From Kevin, sent just 1 minute ago. Grace, don't look in the mirror. She froze, her eyes still fixed on the cracked surface. And then she saw it. In the reflection, a figure was materializing in the darkness behind her. It was tall, wearing a raincoat, and it was smiling that same horrible, wide-mouthed smile. The flashlight slipped from her grasp and clattered to the floor, extinguishing itself. The next morning, Grace's car was found abandoned on the side of the road. The door ajar, her phone leapt on the passenger seat. The screen was lit up with one unread message. Received at 3:12 a.m. It was from Kevin. It said, "It's your turn to answer the knock." Detective Uma arrived as the sun began to cast long, eerie shadows across the landscape. The scene was unsettling. 2 people from this quiet, isolated community vanished within 24 hours. He started at Kevin's house. Everything was meticulously in its place, a snapshot of a life interrupted. Except for that mirror. It seemed to ripple under the light of his flashlight, its surface oddly warped. As his officers carefully lifted it from the wall, a small photograph fluttered out from behind the frame. It was a picture of Kevin and Grace, happy, smiling, standing right in front of this very house. On the back, a hastily scrawled note. It started with 1 knock. Later that night, back at the quiet, sterile police station, Uma reviewed the evidence. He found a video on Kevin's phone. The footage was shaky, filled with panicked breathing. It was Kevin whispering to the camera. "There's someone outside," he says, his eyes wide with terror. They look like me." He then turns the phone's camera toward the window. For a split second, through the rain-streaked glass, you can see Kevin's own face staring back in. But the eyes are hollow, black pits, and the mouth is stretched into that same impossibly wide smile. The video cuts out. Umar let out a long breath, rubbing his tired eyes. A trick of the light, he told himself, a reflection distorted by rain and fear. It had to be. He was a man of logic, of facts. He didn't believe in ghosts or monsters. As he turned back to his work, his computer screen suddenly lit up with a new, unprompted message from an unknown number. His blood ran cold as he read the words. "Detective Umar, don't look in the mirror." Almost involuntarily, his eyes drifted towards the dark window of his office. And in the reflection of the glass, he saw himself. But he wasn't alone. His reflection was smiling back at him. Some say the house at the edge of town is still waiting. Some knocks are never meant to be answered. Some mirrors show us more than we ever wanted to see. And some stories, they don't really have an end. They just wait for the next person to come along, hear that sound in the dead of night, and wonder, who's there? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe cover your mirrors tonight. Stay safe out there.